Welcome in, everyone. It is week 14, rivalry week in college football. It is going to be a big weekend for multiple reasons. We got some football rivalries. We got personal rivalries here on the show as well that we'll get into a little bit as well. A lot of good content coming to you guys' way. We're down a man. It doesn't matter. We're starting the show. Let's go.
Give a damn about a hater when I feel like it. Not today, not today, not today, not tomorrow. Get out my way, please. I'm trying to get paid. Not today.
All right. So aforementioned rivalry week in college football here. So it got me thinking. I was like, what's the biggest rivalry that I've had in my life? And I want to know, Steve, what your best or biggest rivalry has been in your life.
In my life?
In your life.
Oh man, I mean that's easy. That's got to be me against Taco Bell at 2:30 in the morning. It's the pre-battle, it's the post-battle in the morning. Like it's a pretty even series. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh wow, yeah, and I've heard plenty of stories about this rivalry. So yeah, it's to say that it's basically evenly matched at this point. Wow, I am.
Yeah, I win the first half. Taco Bell wins the second half every time. How about you, man?
Oh, that's funny. I win the battle, not the war. Yeah, that's for sure with that one.
Exactly.
I'm at the same time maybe happy and also embarrassed at the same time to basically say that I think my biggest rivalry is from the 4th and 5th grade. David Sorrento, I believe was his last name, but he was the dude who was he was homie hopping and was taking my women. He took it on 2 occasions. Maria and Lindsay, two beautiful young ladies at the time, and they were just left me crestfallen, and he was the culprit behind both of them. I hated his guts for like 6.5 years until I grew up. But
I hate his guts now.
Yeah, exactly. So one of those things where I don't think he ever knew it was a rivalry type of thing, but it was a rivalry.
Wait, what's his name? Say it was David.
David, yeah.
Yeah, David. If you're watching this, you're POS. All right, we're coming for you. Karma's a bitch.
What's worse, Del Taco or Taco Bell? Kimberly says, yeah. Well, Taco Bell's worse in terms of the aftermath. But all right, let's go. We got enough chitter chatter. We got games to break down. You guys know the drill. Let's talk some college football matchups. Let's head into the first one here. We got South Carolina and Clemson. Number 18 South Carolina and then number 17 Clemson here. So this one actually opened at 5 at Circa and then has been kind of bouncing around all over the place and is now at 1.5. Last I checked a little bit ago here. So another full disclosure on this one, we are on Clemson minus 2.5. So we have a position in this one for sure. So yes, Steve, I'm curious to get your thoughts on the game script on this one too, because obviously huge CFP implications for I think both teams, right? Clemson for their chance to go to the ACC championship, and then South Carolina with what's their shoot? I had it in front of me. I don't have it anymore. What's their record? But I think they have an outside shot. Well, at the playoffs if they no.
I was gonna say they're gonna need some help. So
you're gonna need help. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and I was gonna go back to Clemson here because Clemson actually is one of those things kind of weird. So this is a ACC SEC game, right? And so Clemson's already done all its ACC games, even though they only have 1 loss because of the tiebreak rules in the ACC. Clemson needs Miami to lose to Syracuse. That's the only way Clemson gets into the ACC championship.
Yeah, so
but because we saw such a bloodbath this last weekend with top 25 teams, like Clemson needs this game. So Clemson can actually get in to the playoff without winning the ACC because you got number 5 Indiana, number 7 Alabama, number 9 Ole Miss, 14 BYU, 15 Texas A&M, 16 Colorado. So all those teams that were ahead of Clemson, all those teams lost. So Clemson, if they can take this game home, even if Miami wins, they have a chance. Which is why I think you're going to see the absolute best out of Clemson. Like, listen, of course, both these teams are going to get up. This is a rivalry, but I can tell you one thing. There's 3 things in life that are guaranteed. It's death, taxes, and Clemson beating South Carolina. They are 74, 43, and 4 in this series all time.
Wow.
Clemson's been outscoring South Carolina by an average of 21 points in these games. And the real Death Valley, please stand up. Clemson is 71-4 at Death Valley in the CFP era. So listen, Dabo's going to need this game for all the reasons I just mentioned. I want to be fair. South Carolina's not a slouch either. I mean, they started off the season pretty slow, but they have beaten 3 ranked teams in Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, and then Mizzou, right? So, like, they have a hard schedule. They are battle-tested. But what I find pretty interesting here is Clemson is more efficient rushing the ball. They're better at that, but they throw the ball more. And exact opposite, right? They're more efficient throwing the ball, but they run the ball more. And I think for me, what's going to be the key here, it's going to be as what can these teams that they do well, like which team can do what they do well better, if that makes sense. So you have Clemson, who has the better offense than South Carolina, the more efficient offense than South Carolina, really powered by Cade Klubnik. Can Phil Maffa, really, the running back, really help alleviate some of that pressure so it's not all on Klubnik? Because South Carolina, we've been talking about it all season, it's their defense. You know, they have the higher defensive power rating of these 2 teams. And so can they keep Clemson from finishing drives? I don't think they're going to stop Clemson from driving, but can they take field goals and make those no points? And can they take touchdowns and make those field goals instead defensively? And can Kyle Kennard, who leads the SEC in sacks for South Carolina, can he be in the backfield and really cause some disruption? So for me, I think these are 2 fairly equally matched teams in terms of overall statistics. I think the field goal is the right play here. Under the field goal, minus 2.5. I feel pretty good about that. We make this number 5. I do want to be clear, though. I know you mentioned it. You said this number moved down to 1.5 right now. Was that?
Yeah, as an hour and a half ago, could be different, but
yeah, because I want to be clear. I love this bet at minus 2.5. We make the number 5, but at 3, this is a completely different conversation, right? And if I can here, let me just show you guys. So if you guys go to our website, btb-analytics.com, we have these calculators, and these are all fully for free, right? But you can see here. Free plug. So yeah, exactly, right? But you can see here, if we make the number minus 5, the current spread is minus 2.5. You can see that's 4% EV. But if we change this to minus 3, all of a sudden your
session times out.
Yeah, all of a sudden your session times out.
And it screams negative EV. Yeah.
Dude, for real. But all of a sudden you take that from a positive EV bet down to a negative EV bet, quite frankly. And so here, let's try this again and see if we can play nicely. Yeah. So negative 2.37% here, right? And what's happening here is it's not that you are losing a lot more than what you were winning before. It's because you have to push, right? But we didn't come here to push. We came here to win. So one of the things I want to talk about, especially if you guys are new, we talk about how to spot touts who really don't know what they're talking about, or how to spot people who are just kind of scamming. You'll never hear professional bettors say, "Oh, we love this team." It's we like this team at this bet at this number, because the numbers change, those values change, and all of a sudden, completely different conversation.
Unless you're George, unless you're GRP, then he bets teams, not numbers. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, so I agree with a lot of what you said about this game. And Mr. Katz, we make the raw number 9.5 actually on this one. So we make the regress number 5 as you see there. But yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. I mean, 2 generally evenly matched teams here. And SC with that, it's a top 10 passing defense specifically, number 8 to be specific. But yeah, I think to your point, and then the game script here too, like Clemson, if Clemson can keep South Carolina in 3rd and long, and I think that's a very reasonable ask or expectation. Clemson is number 13th in the country in laid down success rates, and the SC offense is kind of middle of the road, 58th in keeping the drives going, so to speak, 3rd down success rate as well. So it's really the defense for SC scares me in a sense that like my mental model is disagreeing with like the quantitative model and element here. But But yeah, I think this script is right on, like you said. It's not all season for me. Just wondering, yeah, Mr. Yeah, not all season here either, Mr. Katz. So yeah, if they can keep them in that field goal game, or keep them only to field goals, then I think this is a pretty good spot to be in. But 2.5 for sure, like you mentioned, Steve, is really where we need to be for this one. Yeah, because otherwise, and I think we got it to 2.5 at -115 or better is what you actually have to get as well for this one. So we'll see. It's this one. This is the Palmetto Bowl.
Yeah.
Whatever that. What's a palmetto? Is it like a tree or something?
I know Saul
Somebody
Palmetto,
fact check me.
The supplement that we use. You can get it at CVS.
The herbal supplement bowl.
Yeah.
Shout out. All right, we move on from a SEC or SEC ACC matchup to perhaps the game with the worst nickname in all the land. That is the game in Michigan and Ohio State. Like, I mean, come on, we got to start a new tradition here. Something's got to happen with this one. This shit's ridiculous. Nonetheless, Michigan going up against number 2 Ohio State here. Now, this is the one I knew. We were talking right before we started recording, Steve, about having a pretty strong opinion, backing up what the data says with a sort of a mental model as well. Our raw number on this one is 24.5. Yeah. So I on one hand, I'm like, okay, it doesn't scream alt season because of where the current market is at, but how do you model 3+ years of pent up aggression from Ohio State?
Oh yes,
and just not wanting to absolutely go buck wild, no pun intended, on this one. So what's your take on this one? What's your game script for how Ohio State takes care of business?
Oh yeah, listen, there is no love lost. This is going to be an absolute beatdown in my mind, and I'm glad you brought up the pent up aggression. So let's take a step back, right? Michigan leads this all-time series 61-52-6, right? Ryan Day is 1-3 against Michigan as the head coach for Ohio State. He won his first year as official head coach, and he's lost 3 straight in a row. He's come out and said losing to Michigan was one of the worst things in his life, probably other than losing his father. And that wasn't even very definitive, right? Like, that's how legit and serious this is. Wow, and in the Ryan Day era of this series, it's been interesting. The higher ranked team has always won. Now, to your point though, about these teams this can get pretty ugly for both teams. Let's be honest here. Ohio State has been the more dominant team all year long, hence their number 2 ranking in the country. And then you look at their common opponent in Indiana, right? And I think that was a really good litmus test of, you had Indiana, who got off to hot starts against both those teams. Michigan couldn't come back and win that game. Ohio State came back and dominated, right? And I think that is kind of what you're going to see again in this game. Now, very important for Michigan, Will Johnson, their star cornerback, still questionable. He's missed the last few games. They were hoping to get him back before the season ends, but it's kind of now or never. And then still questionable, but quote unquote looking likely to play, is their tight end Colston Loveland. Without him, I mean, Davis Warren has nobody. So if Loveland can't play, this is going to get even more brutal. But to your point about the series here, let's not pretend like blowouts don't happen in this Michigan-Ohio State rivalry, even though they're normally 2 good teams every year. 2018, OSU won 62-39. 2019, OSU won 56-27. 2021, Michigan won 42-27. And 2022, Michigan won 45-23. For me, it's very simple. You can see that the model leans towards Ohio State. It doesn't quite meet our threshold in terms of the 3% edge there, but better offense, Ohio State, better defense. They're getting into scoring position, i.e. the opponent's 40. If you look at their offensive echo rate over expected, Michigan's defense is allowing their opponents to get to their own 40. If you look at the defensive echo rate over expected, like, all signs point to go, especially in a series where they don't give a damn about the other team's feelings. This smells like blowouts left, right, and center. Am I crazy though? Like, should I be walked off the edge?
No, I don't. I mean, because it's rivalry week, like, all kinds of weird fluky shit can happen. Like, that in and of itself is tough to kind of model out. But like, viscerally, from a mental model perspective, I do agree with you. I just don't. It's very difficult for me to see the script where Michigan can score more than 13 points. Like, they are. if Ohio State can just basically stack the box against an okay rushing attack, which I think Michigan's number 55 in EPA per play rushing, then you force Michigan and their 120th ranked passing offense to do something. To your point, like, good luck.
Against one of the best passing defense in the country.
Yeah, good luck. You know, Ohio State number 4 passing defense. Okay, so it's really, you're going to have some fluke shit. That Michigan defense is going to have to generate some turnovers, maybe some big plays in the special teams game or whatever. But beyond that, like, it's tough for me to see. But I was trying to explore some angles for the under in this one too, because I mean the thesis is basically 2 good defenses and 1 really bad offense, at least in a particular area of the ball. And in theory, Michigan is going to have to lean into that passing game to either catch up or win this game, period. Right. But if it's again the fluke shit and rivalry week, like, I would not be surprised if Ryan Day does if they get out to a big lead, and they just try to put up 100 on them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And just really just let out all that aggression, you know. Take away a block punt and return as that Indiana game as convincing. Yeah, says Kimberly via Seth, probably.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we saw what Indiana did, what they did all year long, right? And then that was get off to this hot start. And yeah, I think they had Ohio State shaking in their boots, you know, early on that game, right? And then so, you know, you take away an Indiana fumble and Ohio State interception, kind of on back-to-back drives there. And then Ohio State they just continue to gain steam. So I don't know. For me, I still think it's personally, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but it's still pretty convincing to me. And for me, it's Ohio State. We talked about this in the Indiana versus Ohio State game last week, where we were trying to caution people about buying the Hoosier hype because of, all things considered, the team talent. Well, this is another one where, yeah, these are 2 elite teams, but Ohio State is outclassing Michigan in team talent. Now, we know what happened in Michigan, you know, with McCarthy and everyone else kind of going off to the draft there, but Ohio State reloaded, and Michigan, they did for their own standards, but they're still the better team.
Yeah. Hey, Michigan still got a bunch of 4- and 5-star dudes. Their talent rating is high, but this is like the 10th time I've said it. You don't pay the right dudes, you're shit out of luck. Nick Saban, one of the greatest quotes of this year.
And the last thing I will say, though, I'm saying this is going to be a blowout, but I do think the line is good. You know, again, we talk about up to what point. You know, at -22 for me, you make up the raw number is -24.5. My personal Steve betting here, I think up to 23.5 is where I feel like, I think that's a good number. Now from an EV standpoint, that's not the case. It's a negative EV bet, right? But just kind of to conceptualize what my terms of blowout means.
Got it. Okay. All right. Should be probably in theory one of the worst of the game matchups in quite some time. So we'll see how it plays out. So all right, guys, appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to like the video. If you haven't, please subscribe to the channel as well. If you're not already, helps us out a great deal. And we love to be back here every week doing these for you guys. So please keep the comments coming. Please keep the likes coming. Steve betting and off the numbers, regular betting. Steve. Oh, that's a good. Oh yeah. Are they different? Are they different people?
Oh yeah. No, this
because
is
if it's Steve off the numbers betting, then stay far away from the advice.
No, there's a method to the madness. We'll talk about it later. All right. But yeah, good call out, Shogun Mike.
All right, shout out. We move on to another rivalry game. We got number 6 Notre Dame going up against USC. This one opened at 7, is kind of bob and weave a little bit. Now it's 7.5. Our raw number is 9 on this one, and currently we make the number 8 regress. So no value on it from either side at the moment. But this is, Steve, Notre Dame, like with the one weird, frankly, exception of their loss to Northern Illinois, right? They have played the part, they have showed everything that is deserving of a top 5, top 14. I think are they number 4 or no, they're number 6. Yeah. So I think they've done a lot to deserve where they're currently ranked at the moment. This is, in particular, this is a top tier defensive team. They're the number 1 ranked passing defense, number 2 overall in adjusted EPA per play allowed, and then on the offensive side, like I was I don't know, pleasantly surprised or like tickled a little bit to see this. They are a top 10 rushing team in terms of efficiency, and they are perfectly balanced with a 0% rush rate over expected. So they run just as much as they pass, and it's poetry in motion, I guess, for them. It's working really well. So I guess could this be a potential final nail in the coffin for Lincoln Riley at USC if this gets ugly and sideways pretty fast? Because his tenure at USC has not been what anyone thought it was going to be. And this is a Notre Dame team that has the ability to really run up the score, and they have been doing that on teams lately.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you say they look impressive. I mean, they're borderline unpatriotic the way they've been whooping up on the military schools, right? I mean, they beat Navy, was it 51-14, then Army 49-14. I mean, that is just disrespectful. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, this is one of the ones where I'm trying not to get hyperbolic, but Notre Dame just seems like the better team through and through. And you mentioned it already, right? The offense is where we kind of think about because they're putting up these staggering numbers, right? I mean, they've scored 40+ points 5 different times this year. And again, going back to that Army game, I mean, Notre Dame ran all over Army, led by Jeremiah Love. And I really expect more of the same because on the defensive end, even though USC has gotten better under Danton Lynn than they were last year, they still are a little suspect with the rushing defense in terms of rushing EPA per play here. So my concern, though, is the defense, because this is where Notre Dame shines, right? I mean, USC has had some success recently ever since benching Miller Moss for Jaden Mayava, but Notre Dame defense has been stellar. I mean, they've allowed less than 125 yards passing 7 times this season. They lead the league. They lead all of Division I in interceptions. And so you can kind of see here this matchup where if you're USC and you're being forced to pass against a top tier passing defense and one that creates havoc and turnovers, like this can get out of hand really quick, especially if Notre Dame can score the ball more ways than one. So I think that we make the raw number -9. Again, I'm not trying to get crazy here, but I don't see a way that USC and Lincoln Riley cover here.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what their game plan is, especially early on in this one, because to some of your points there too, like with Notre Dame's number 1 passing defense, USC has an 11th ranked rushing offense, but they have a -14% run rate over expected. So their tendency is to pass the ball 40% more than an average team. Okay, well, good luck having success with that against the number 1 passing team defense. So
yeah. And can we bring the graphic back up? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
I think I was just going to fumble over my words and say I agree with you. I have no idea what the hell Lincoln Riley is going to have up his sleeve in order for them to cover the 7 here.
Yeah, and I think for me the biggest thing is that we talked about this as well in that Ohio State Michigan game, right? You look at the offensive and defensive echo rates over expected. Again, offensive getting to your opponent's 40, meaning your expected points go up. You can kick a field goal or get a touchdown. Realistically, you're in that range. And then defensively, you're allowing teams to your 40. Notre Dame is killing it offensively, getting drives to their opponent's scoring position. And then USC is allowing these folks to get there. And so you can see here, we don't have the points per echo on this graph here, but if Notre Dame's finishing drives and they're getting to the 40 at a higher clip, like this is just going to be an absolute or at least has the potential to be an absolute bloodbath here. I mean, nothing that I'm seeing here is really convincing me that SC is going to have a fight if they can't keep Notre Dame offense in check early on this game.
Yeah, I think I need to be metaphorically talked off the ledge on this one as well from not wanting to go ignorant, because again, it's like you look at some other advanced stats, and I mean defensively USC is improved from last year, but there's a couple specific little data points where like, okay, well, here they suck at this and Notre Dame's good at this, so what's going to happen here? For example, early down EPA, first and second down, traditional quote unquote rundown, 111th in the country is SC's defense. And again, top 10 rushing defense overall, and a number 18 in early down success rate for Notre Dame as well. So how they don't just continue to keep the drives churning, running the ball, sucking the clock, just embarrassing them on the ground.
Yeah, Jeremiah Love's going to have an absolute field day. I wish we could bet college props.
We can in Arizona here.
Yeah, we can't do it here. I would love to see what a Jeremiah Love rushing prop over yards are going to be for USC.
Lots of inefficiencies in those markets, from what I understand, which is a shame. So, all right, we got a few down. We got a couple more to go here. So next rivalry game matchup, let's head over and talk about Washington at number 1 Oregon Ducks, number 1 team in the land. So
only unbeaten team in the land.
Yeah, the only unbeaten as well. Shout out. So this is another model play that we're on. We're on Oregon minus 17.5. You do need to get that 17.5. So hopefully our members, if you're out there listening, were able to get that number when we sent it out. But you need the 17.5 to get the 3% edge. Seth, not here to talk you guys back. Yeah, that's okay. Once in a while,
can I just say, you guys don't know how ignorant we can get if Seth's not here. Of the friend group, he seems to be the one who's matured the quickest. But
yeah. Okay, so in this one, this is another one for me where the mental model thing is really, I want to pump the brakes on it. Like the positions in, like we got the play on them or whatever, but Oregon feels like that team this year where I didn't get a chance to fully go back and look at the history, but it feels like every time that we've bet on them, they don't cover for us. I'm not sure we've covered once on them. So they are, both teams are coming off a bye on this one, somewhat interestingly, kind of this late in the season. But Washington is an interesting team, at least defensively. So no team in the country has been able to throw for 300 yards against Washington. And then, so overall fifth ranked, passing defense. And then Oregon kind of on the flip side of that, number 15 overall passing offense. So a strength on strength situation here again, but I wonder if the game script, Steve, and let me know if you agree with this or if, how you see Oregon covering the 17.5 for us, is if they can sustain their drives and keep it in third and manageable. They're 6th in the country in third down success rate. And Washington, on the flip side, is really bad at keeping teams off the field on third down, number 105th in the country. So is it a situation where Oregon just needs to line up and hammer Washington into submission in this one and keep it going? But if not, what's the game script for Oregon to cover here?
Yeah, and if we bring the graphic back up, it's one of those things where Oregon is kind of going back in that same kind of thing we just talked about the last 2 games. You talk about, can Washington stop them on third downs, and that kind of goes hand in hand. I hate to sound like a broken record, but it goes hand in hand with this Elko rate. Again, same thing. You have Oregon with a great offensive and Oregon with a great offensive, Washington with a bad defensive Elko rate here. And so can Oregon drive the ball here? For me, it's we've seen Dylan Gabriel do the things he's done all year. We've seen him kind of make stupid mistakes early in the year, really play down to his competition. Ever since that Ohio State game, I think he's gotten a lot better in protecting the ball and making smarter plays. But for me, this is going to be a game where, okay, sure, if the Washington defense is going to be really hard against Dylan Gabriel, feed Jordan James the rock. This isn't a balanced Oregon team that we know can put up points here. You can have a balanced attack and really exploit Washington in areas where that's not their strength. And again, this is one of the ones where, sure, in recent memory, Washington has won the last 3 games in this series. I mean, this was a rematch of the last year's Pac-12 championship, right? I mean, Washington beat them twice, once in the end of the regular season and then again for the Pac-12 title. But this is a Washington team that is, I don't want to say a far cry. I mean, they're not terrible, right? But a far cry from what we saw last year, and an Oregon team that is picking up right where they left off, and quite frankly, might be even better. So I think there's multiple pathways. I'm with you. This is not an alt-season bet for me by any means. We already mentioned 17.5 is the number you need to get. But I'm not calling this like a 34 game.
Well, you want to feel maybe slightly worse, feel a way about it. The raw number is 29.5.
Okay. All right. Look at me having restraint and being the mature, responsible one, and the model's the one saying go full degen.
Yeah.
I'll be damned.
Yeah. So I to your point, yeah, like Washington, despite their record, they're no slouch. Again, we mentioned it. You know, they're 5th ranked passing defense, and they're relatively, I think, slightly above average offensively by using per play efficiency metrics. So this is a lot of points. This is a lot of points, in my opinion. So I don't feel great about this one. Hopefully hopefully Oregon can buck the trend and cover for us for once. God damn it, because if not, then I might move them to the unofficial banned list after this one. So we'll see, man. But yeah, RIP, Pac-12. God damn it. Maybe one day it'll come back. For now,
well, it is officially back. It's just not the Pac-12 we know and love. Yeah, because Oregon State and Washington State.
Yeah, we're not putting pig on a lipstick here and calling it something that it's not. Okay, it's no more. It's no more.
All right, my bad.
All right, we got one more to match up for you to cover here this week. So the Lone Star Showdown. How about it? Number 3, Texas, going up against number 15. Texas A&M. Another model play for us. We are on Texas A&M plus 5.5. This one, I think this is going to be sneaky, like perhaps one of the better matchups of the weekend, in my opinion. Texas A&M is unbeaten at home.
Okay.
And this one, the market has not really done a ton with this. This opened at 5. It touched 6 at Circa for a hot second, but is now kind of mostly settling at the 5.5 throughout. But obvious, huge, absolutely crazy huge CFB implications, in my opinion, for this one. So somehow, strangely, if Texas A&M wins this game, they will earn the right to play in the SEC championship game, which is bizarre. We've been talking about a bunch of different times, and it's been talked about on the ad nauseum for talking heads, like, oh, should a 3-win or should a 3-loss team, yada yada, make this, do that, But here we are in rivalry week, talking about a team where if they pull up an upset here, they can be in the SEC championship with 3 losses. So really, really, really fascinating implications, and obviously Texas A&M coming off a disappointing loss, frankly, to Auburn last week. But I guess my question for you is, how much concern is there for you, not only with them recency bias and coming off the loss to Auburn and what they kind of put on tape there, but for Texas A&M's offense against this really good Texas defense? For Texas, this is the number 2 passing defense, right behind Notre Dame, and then 18th overall rushing defense. And they're allowing less than 3 points per echo. So when if teams are getting, or when they are getting to the 40-yard or better of Texas, they're only giving up field goals for the most part, So how does Texas A&M manage in this one, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be tough, and I got to be honest. This is the ones where I think I feel like a square, and this one kind of scares me. I mean, A&M really got off at a hot start, right? And then you had the wins, and they had a pretty good win over I believe it was LSU earlier, and then Mizzou. That was a point of Mizzou as well. And then, like you mentioned, they lost to South Carolina, lost kind of a heartbreak in overtime to Auburn. So which team are you really getting? And for me, the question is going to be like, what is going to be the play of Marcel Reed? And then also, can Amari Daniels kind of help him out? I mean, again, we've been talking about how to not make sure these teams are one-dimensional, because that is where Texas thrives. If you get down to Texas, get down by a few scores, and you have to throw the ball, this is a team defensively that's probably going to feast on you. And I don't know if A&M has been consistent enough for me to know that I can trust Reed to kind of get that job done. So, I mean, to me, I think it's going to be kind of one of those ground and pound games. Take your shots. Obviously, you can't play scared in this game. You've got to take it to them. You got to hope your defense stands up. Again, I'm a little concerned coming off that, Auburn game, giving up 44, whatever, and how many points they gave up that game. So there's a mechanism here. Don't get me wrong, but it has to be on game script. It has to be early down success, and it has to be keeping this one pretty close to the vest if they want to get out of town here. Now, I will say on the flip side, we talk about the Georgia Texas game, right? Remember, we were talking about how crazy that game got, but that was really only a domination in one half. I mean, Texas absolutely looked human in the second half of that game. So I don't love it, but I don't think this is a bad bet. I do feel kind of smart being on this one, not one I would pick out on my own.
There isn't an injury question mark with Quinn Ewers, right? I think when he left, he got I think he got some imaging or something, but he's good to go, right? From what I saw or understand.
That last I saw. So
okay, yeah, I think that's correct. So
we can always fact check. I mean, it's only Tuesday, but we'll.
Hell yeah, it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Sark said earlier today he's planning on practicing. So.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to multitask. I was the CFP rankings just went live here.
Oh yeah.
12 or 14 minutes ago. So I was trying to pull it up in real time here so we can talk.
Dude, be careful. Seth tried this last week and we got some funky ass shit. It was like, I forgot what the rankings were, but it was like, no, there's no way in the world that's right. So just
okay. Eric says mild ankle sprain is what he had. He's good to go for A&M. So okay, good deal.
Appreciate it. All right, but while you're pulling up those rankings, I do want to say something else. Eric, our producer, told us. So going back, we were talking about the Notre Dame game. No Jeremiah Love rush props, but there are 2+ TDs score for +260 on BetMGM. Eric, is that for Love or what is? For Nevada?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't know about those. I don't know about that market.
Oh yeah, right. For Love, BetMGM in Nevada. Yeah.
Right.
We don't have them in Arizona. Yeah. I might have to make a quick weekend trip out to Vegas.
just drive across state lines real quick.
Hey, listen, value is value.
Hammer home some value. Hey, you know what? It's crazier things have been done.
Yeah.
Crazier things have been done. So, all right. That's sorry. Did you have a point to wrap up in this one?
Nope.
For the Lone Star? Okay. All right, so those are the big rivalry games we're covering for this week. So we covered 5 of them. Let's hit zoom out here for a minute and talk college football landscape and college football playoffs here. So yeah, I'm trying to still get them up here in real time. I won't waste too much time doing this because I know it's fantastic podcasting here. But I guess I want to. I guess I want to ask your opinion on 2 teams. So number 1, Indiana. What's your assessment of? We talked briefly about them earlier, and was Ohio State's win over them as convincing, if not for a couple of fluke play situations? So do you knock down Indiana as as far back of a peg as some might want to, or is this still a team that deserves to be in the CFP?
I think they still deserve to be in the CFP, but definitely going to be. You're talking double-digit seed, right? I mean, this is one of the teams where they have been good. You can only play who you play. I pushed a little bit back on not overreacting because of a couple high variance plays in the Ohio State game. I wouldn't feel that way if we didn't see the same thing with Michigan, right? We saw the same thing with a team that has a higher team talent than Indiana does. We saw them struggle. Now, give credit where credit is due. Indiana won that game fair and square, and they should be rewarded for that. But all of a sudden, it wasn't this high-flying offense, just kind of kicking down, kicking names and what's kicking ass and taking names, right? We didn't see that anymore. So I think Indiana's a legit contender, borderline pretender, but they deserve a shot to raise some hell in the CFP, in my mind.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Generally speaking, I mean, I would love to know. We'll never know. It's a complete black box forever and always, probably. But how much the committee takes into consideration the talent element as well, and are they trying to avoid some semblance of ghost pass and avoiding the TCU Georgia situation, and because that's been one of the things that we've talked about here on this show for several weeks is. Don't be surprised if and when they start playing the big dogs like in Ohio State, where it kind of rears its head. So, yeah, we shall see. We shall see what the committee does. And then the other one is, I just want to say, shout out SMU. This is a team. Yeah, this is a team that was on our radar, on our list prior to the season beginning, about a team that we identified as having some value to win the ACC. And here we are, 1 week to go. They've already guaranteed their spot. That's right. In the ACC championship. So they're just waiting to see who they're going to play, whether it's going to be Clemson or whether it's going to be Miami. So
yeah.
For your money and for the positions that we have on this, who do we want? Who do we want them to face?
Oh, that's a good question. I think you want. I honestly think you want them to face Miami. I think you want them to face a team that we know has a little bit of hero ball in them, a little bit of, play with their food, because they rely so much on that offense. And when that offense isn't clicking, all of a sudden they look completely lost, like we saw in that Georgia Tech game, and like we saw for most of that Duke game, honestly.
Sure.
I think that gives you versus a Clemson team where you really expect that defense to kind of ground and pound, punch in the mouth. Not nearly as concerning on the offensive end as Miami is, obviously, but I would rather want a kind of a shootout than a rock fight in my mind.
Yeah, that seems to be more of their style.
Yeah.
And yeah, like where they've kind of thrived, so to speak. So yeah, I don't know if I agree with that or not, but Miami scares me more. I'll say that. But I mean,
scary money don't make money, man.
Scary money don't make money. Yeah. So the position that we have them plus 2,000 to win the ACC, and was checking this week. There is not yet any cash out option or value or whatever. But once the opponent gets finalized after this week, then I expect to see those start to populate. And so I'm not sure if, depending on obviously who the matchup is, what the odds are for the opposing, like, is there an opportunity to do the double dip methodology like we did and realize some profit and just let one ticket ride, or hedge out, arb out completely? We shall see. But we're in a good position overall, I think, with that one. So
yeah. I want to say two quick things before we go to our off the numbers. One, I have been corrected in the comments. I don't care what anyone says. The new phrase is kicking names and taking ass. I will only be exclusively saying that from now on. So thank you for that. And then two, I'm just excited for the chaos here, right? I mean, last weekend was a perfect example of 7 teams losing their positions to be in a CFP format. And what happens now? What I'm waiting on, though, is some sort of freaking guidance from the CFP on what these seeds are going to look like, right? Because, and this is kind of what we talked about. Yeah, exactly. This is kind of what we talked about last week, where like, you can't have multiple teams in the same conference in the 1 through 4 slot on the final ranking, right? Because you has to be the winner of each power conference. So there's going to be some edge here where we can get some matchup play where you have a conference runner up getting a home game against a lesser opponent. Like there's going to be ways to kind of take advantage of this. Just trying to wait for the dust to settle. Hopefully going into this weekend, we can figure something out. And if we do, we'll let you guys know. Or if you do, let us know. If you have an angle, leave a comment on this. Love to hear your theory.
Yeah, because we've talked about a couple over the course of the season, and how to potentially find some value with the CFP arrangements and the seeding and all that. But Street and Paula, is Colorado cooked out of the CFP? They don't have. I think the Big 12 is the one, and again, this is one that we were kind of picking apart from the start. Is that Big 12 in our mind was going to be the conference with the most potential chaos, or it's the most wide open, right? And that's
ASU was picked last or second to last.
They were. It's insane. Yeah, it was nuts. So I saw on Twitter circulating. There's like, I swear to God, it's 24 different plausible scenarios for like 7 different teams to clinch or to make the Big 12 championship game. So it is completely wide open. It is completely FUBAR right now. So that, to your point exactly. I think Colorado is not technically out of it.
No, it's them, ASU, Iowa State, and BYU. They've all got a chance, depending on what happens this last week.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of weird, funky shit has to happen, but yeah, they're not cooked out of it completely. Yeah.
But that game was bad though. But I digress. Yes, they got their ass whooped they got their ass mollywopped by Kansas. So
shut up. They did. Okay. So anything else for the landscape that you want to?
Speaking of mollywop, off the numbers.
Speaking of mollywopping, baby, I love it. All right, let's hit it off, baby. Yeah, so off the numbers here. Again, this is just our attempt at doing some mental models and just kind of having a friendly competition for picking games the rest of the season. Started 9 weeks ago. I want to get some feedback though from anyone in the comments. Please put your degenerate hat on, put your just like immature 12-year-old boy hat on, and we have not come to a formal finalized agreement on what the punishment should be for the loser of Off the Numbers once the season ends.
Oh, okay, hold on. Don't leave them like that. Okay. We have a strong contender. Don't act like we're lost here. The strong number one position is loser has to spend 18 hours in a Waffle House, and you get 1 hour deducted for every waffle you eat. That is where we're leaning towards right now. Now,
sure,
I'm open for suggestions.
Bears Super Bowl ticket. Okay, yeah. So we need we need to crowdsource this a little bit. So we'll talk about it in the NFL show too. But if anyone has any better ideas, it would be ideal if they would be something that we could do for content. Like show you guys and kind of bring you along on that part of it as well. So let us know if you think of anything. Just shoot us a note or drop a comment on the show. It doesn't matter. We'll be sure to see it and take it under consideration. So, all right, I digress, but let's get into the picks for Off the Numbers for this week. So I'll start it off. I am 6-3 so far, so I am a game ahead of Seth at the moment. So I am on the over 51.5 for Notre Dame. And it says Oregon there, but it's USC. Maybe I hope I didn't write that wrong in the write-up.
That's an automatic loss.
Yeah, already negative EV again. Bad juju. So over 51.5. So we talked about this game obviously a little bit earlier and how good and potent Notre Dame is on both sides of the ball. But a couple of other things I don't think we touched on that I want to just bring up that kind of went into my thought process here. Offensively speaking, Notre Dame has a 22% echo rate over expected. So relative to an average team, they are getting to the opponent's 40-yard or better. And to boot, when they get there, they're scoring 5.24 points per echo. So they are not only getting there at a higher clip, but a much higher clip than average, they are scoring touchdowns relatively consistently. And again, to the point about USC's defense, yes, improved from last year, but by no means some kind of world beater. Particularly again on this Keenan on this one side of the one element of the matchup here. Rushing offense versus rushing defense. Notre Dame number 10 in the country, and USC okay against the pass, but number 80th when it comes to rushing defense. So I could really see this one. I could see Notre Dame kind of like they did against Army, kind of like they did against another team a couple weeks ago, scoring 52 points by themselves in this one, and just really embarrassing Lincoln Riley out of that building.
Okay.
So I really like Notre Dame to metaphorically and literally run away with the over on this one. So give me the points, baby. I'm going square. I like the over.
All right, yep.
All right, Steve. So you teased it like you got.
Can we bring the graphic back up, please? Yeah. So let me at least give some background here. All right. First and foremost. So we're playing for pride, we're playing for keeps here, right? I am at a position where I cannot win doing straight bets or doing spread bets. So I need the units, I need the long shots to even have a chance here, right? So I'm already making my bet. With that being said, I'm taking Oklahoma State plus 520 over Colorado. We saw the absolute beatdown that Kansas gave Colorado last week. I mean, they just ran at will over them. Oklahoma State does not have a win at all in conference play in the Big 12. Mike Gundy's a better coach than that. They've already changed quarterbacks 3 times. Here's what you're doing. You have a team here that's playing for pride. You have a team here that's playing to not be embarrassed. These are 18-year-old kids. They got feelings too. They want to be the big man on campus. They want to get some of that groupie love. I take Oklahoma State to save their season, not be defeated and winless, sneak off a win against Colorado for the upset, get their only win in the Big 12 play, plus 520 OK State money line.
Yeah, I'm honestly, truthfully rooting for you on this one because I like to I don't mind being a Colorado hater in perpetuity for some reason. I'm one of those guys. So yeah, let's go Oklahoma State, baby.
Woo.
Okay, and then Seth,
to round it out, he's not here to defend his honor on this one, but he's on Arizona State -9. Fading the alma mater.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Fading the alma mater. So they're playing U of A, Seth and Steve, alma maters. So
Wildcats.
yeah, go whatever this is, gang sign. Come on, get out.
Yeah, that's
So for what it's worth, the market hasn't done a ton with this one from what I can see. It actually touched 10 for a second at Circa, but pretty much 9. A little bit of disagreement. There's a 9.5 out there at the moment, but yeah, I think this is. I don't want to speak for him, but this is an underperforming. This is an underperforming U of A team, and really has been from the jump. And this is two teams, going in opposite directions, so to speak. So maybe he's just trying to ride the hot hand, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the chat here. I mean, it's under Kimberly, but can we get 5 words or less? Your reason, 5 words or less. The logic here. My guess would be Wildcats ass, Devils good. So.
Yeah. So shout out. He's going Forkham, baby. Yeah, Forkham in the Territorial Cup. ASU -9 in this one. So all right, yeah. So I think one more time, Eric, can we pull up the graphic? Yeah, so Seth, if I lose and Seth wins, then we'll be even again. And Steve, record-wise, won't look great, but he might be pulling closer than we think if they pull up the upset here. So
yeah, I mean, this is the last game of the season, right? I mean, we're only doing this for regular season, right?
That's a good question. I don't know if we established that either.
Put me out of my fucking misery, man, please.
if you want to, if that's how you want to roll with it, no argument from me. So we'll see. All right, that was off the numbers for this week. We got one more segment left, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, okay. We got some breaking news here. Finally, the CFP is coming through here as we speak. So Eric's in the private chat shouting it out. So Colorado 25, K-State 24, Illinois 23, UNLV 22, Mizzou 21, Texas A&M 20, BYU 19. Wow, they dropped a lot again, I think. Iowa State 18, 17, Tulane 16, ASU. Interesting. Ooh. That's very interesting. So if ASU wins, beats U of A, I'd be curious to see what they do with ASU when they make it to the Big 12 championship. That'd be fascinating. So, all right, we'll come back to that as more drops. But let's get to the fun part of the program. Let's talk about model predictions for college football week 14. And look at that. I can barely read the writing. We got volume, baby. We got lots of volume again this week. Slightly abnormal for this time of year. I think last week the volume was much more reasonable. I think like 6 or 7. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But for now, the model record is 74, 61, and 1. So right at about 55% there. So hoping to stay in and get in the win column again with this one. So Steve, let me know. I got him up here too. If you got him, you want to run through them? How you want?
Oh, I got him, baby. I got him, baby.
All right. So pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. We got 15 model predictions to run through. So keep your ears open. Go. All right. Steve.
Starting with Friday day lights, 10 a.m. slot. Miami, Ohio, +3 against Bowling Green. We got Friday afternoon lights. Utah State +6.5. Liberty -2.5 at -105. Moving into the Saturday slot, we've got Clemson -2.5, Temple +11.5, Wake Forest +4.5, West Virginia +3.5, Eastern Michigan +6.5, Pitt +4, Fresno State +9.5 at -105, UAB +3.5, Washington State -17. Florida State +15, Texas A&M +5.5, and Oregon -17.5. What a slate!
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And for anyone, if you're paying attention through that whole thing or you're keeping score, just a couple notes on some of them. Oregon 17.5. We gave that out. We got that at 112. It's really for us only a play at 17.5. If it goes to 18 or beyond, it doesn't meet our criteria. Similar for Clemson, we got them at 2.5 minus 115. You need that number, and those odds are better in order for that to be a play. And yeah, that's it. So a lot of volume again. It's gonna be a long weekend, not only because of the holidays, but because of all the model plays that we got here. So okay, one more time here. We got some more. I don't know if we'll get to all of them as they're being dropped, but yeah, 15 South Carolina, Ole Miss 14, Bama 13. Wow, Clemson 12, Boise State 11. I hate how they drop this shit. Like, just tell me, just Netflix dump them all on me, so I can do with them what I want. Blowout last year revenge. Oh, that's his rationale for the ASU pick. ASU has to win. Oh, so he's just going for the heartstrings.
Yeah.
Going for the heartstrings mental model. All right, love it. So 15 official plays again for the model this week. Huge volume. So we'll see. I mean, again, last week of the regular season. Before then, we get into some CFP talk and ball games and all that kind of craziness. So it's gonna be a fun one. Appreciate. I don't know, Steve. Before we sign off, I don't know if you had anything for the people that.
No, I gotta run. So that's it for me.
Okay. Yeah. Appreciate you guys tuning in again. Yes. Don't forget to like the video if you haven't. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We appreciate you guys tuning in, dropping comments, and again, think of it, sleep on it. Maybe pray or something, whatever you do. Like, let us know a good punishment for off the numbers losers. We just need to lock this in as soon as possible. So appreciate you guys' time. That'll do it for us this week. I think the gang will be back in full swing next week. The three amigos will be back. So until then, you guys have a good night. Good luck. We'll see you then.